I'm the software engineer currently working at the PayPal. Today I bring the one of the question of the dynamic programming. Actually, dynamic programming is one of the hardest, the master of it. So it requires a lot of practice. So I thought of bringing one of the dynamic programming question every week and try to solve it. And we'll see if that goes fine, I will try to continue that. So today I have taken that particular question, which is the number of ways to select the building. I just select this question randomly. We'll select the other LeetCode questions for the dynamic programming in the later weeks. Let's start this video how we can do that. So as I have not solved this question before, you can see over there as I have already read the question. So actually what we need to do is that we have the string given, which is always the binary string, which consists of only the zeros and the ones, and we need to select the buildings, and 0 actually denotes the building is an office and 1 denotes the building is a restaurant. So we need to select the buildings such that no consecutive buildings will be of the same type as it is written over there. So what you need to do first, whenever question is given to you, first you need to check all the information what is given in their question, and then try to write in the question in the editor itself, like what all information you have currently. So first of all, what information I have currently is that you need to select the string of the length 3 so that no consecutive buildings will be of the same type. This means either I can select 010 or I can select 101. So these are the only two choices. Look out this particular example which has been given to us. So we need to select the subsequence of the length 3 of the length 3 strings according to the given conditions. So there is a difference between the subsequence and the sub array. First we select this particular 0 and then we select the 1 because we cannot select the second 0, and then after the 1 we need to select the 0 because we cannot select the 1 after, because it will become the consecutive two ones. So in this manner we have four cases of 010 and 2 cases of 101. So let's try to summarize how they have reached to this particular thing. So next thing, like after gathering the information from the question only, what we can do is what particular test case we have already. So try to understand how they are able to reach to that answer. Is that so we need to select only this 010 and 101 approach. So always try to think of the multiple approaches. You can't reach to the direct solution if you haven't seen the solution or not. I also don't know if I am able to do it in this video or not, but yeah, I have the thought in my mind that I can do that way. So let's try to implement. First approach could be we make the subsequence of all lengths, right? Subsequence in the sense, right? So every particular number has the two choices: either we can select it or not select it. What does it mean by selection or not? It means that either we can take it in the result or not. I select this particular 0 and then we can select this particular 1. If we can select this particular 1 or not, we cannot select it. Select this particular 0 or not. Yeah, so one way of selecting the buildings where we are satisfying all the conditions. Now we can move it ahead and then not select this 0 and try to select this particular 1, but we cannot select this, and then we can select this 1, we can also select this. So here we can make the all the numbers of the subsequence in the sense, right? 0 1 0 1 0, and then with second one we can again make 0 1 0. So rather than jumping directly to the dynamic programming approach, but I still wanted to show you how you can implement this problem without even the dynamic programming. In that case you will be exceeding the time limit, but it will allows you to think internally how the dynamic programming is actually solving that issue. So I have implemented the code to make the video shorter. In that case I have not submitted the code till now. So let's see actually. So I have explained you the approach. So the approach is like we have two choices for every digit. Either we need to select it or not. Either we need to include in the selected buildings or not. So what I have done is that so I have initialized the number of ways is equals to 0, and I have written this particular function find ways. So if temp dot length is equals to 3, this means that we have reached our base condition. So we cannot exceed the length greater than 3. So that's why I put it over there. And if we have reached to this particular length 3, then we need to increment the number of ways and then return it. And similar in the similar fashion, we cannot exceed the index of the string s greater than the length of a string. So in that case we are also returning here. If I am selecting the first character, this means that initially we have the temp of having the length 0. So we can select the s of I. If it is either 1 or it is 0, we can either select. So we can either select it, or we have the full freedom to not select it even, because we have to find the subsequence, right? We can make the pair of the 0 1 0 1 0, and we can also make the pair of 0 1 0. So this selection of the 0 is not necessary. Similar, I have written the other two cases when the length of the temp is not 0. So if the length of temp is not 0, this means that we have already selected the previous digits, but we have to satisfy one more condition, is we cannot select the two consecutive zeros or two consecutive ones. So to satisfy that condition, so if s of I is equals to 0, or else if it is 1. If it is 0, so we are checking with the previous digit of the temp. If it is also 0, then we need to skip that particular digit. That's why I have not included that particular value in the temp, and just increment the index of the string, so that I could reach to the next index. But if previous character of the temp is 1, now alternative is there, so our condition is satisfied. Now here we have the two choices. Either we can escape it, either we can include it, or we can escape it. So we have to calculate the ways for both these scenarios. So once it reaches to satisfy this particular condition, so automatically the ways will be incremented. Similarly, I have done here like if s of I current number is 1, so similar two cases will be followed again. So let's try to run this code. You will see that it will give the TLE, and I will explain you why it is giving the TLE. So yeah, it is giving you the time limit exceeds, so it is failing. Let me just go through the what is the time complexity of this particular algorithm. For particular cases, I am giving the two options to a particular digit. Like suppose if temp dot length is equals to 0, for a particular digit I am giving the two choices. Either we need to select it or not select it. So in this particular case, I am also giving the two choices. So ideally it is to be 2 raised power n exponential time complexity, but you could also say that here you are giving only the one scenario, but we have to calculate the worst case time complexity. In that case you will get the exponential time complexity. That's why you were getting the time limit exception. So let's try the another approach, which is the dynamic programming approach. Where is the problem? Actually, we need to first consider it. So here we are visiting the this particular string 2 times. Why? Because at one time we are saying that including this particular one, at another time we are not including, and we proceed with the remaining array. When we reach to this particular one, we don't know like how many zeros are there previously. So suppose I selected this particular case 1 0 1, so it is one of the string 1 0 1, but this particular one does not know how many previous one, or clearly saying how many previous 1 zeros are present before it. If we know already, then we could all the frequency of the 1 zeros to this particular one and calculate our answer. So that's the problem here. So we are trying to address this particular problem with the help of the dynamic programming. So let's try to implement the dynamic programming approach. What helps in the dynamic programming is that it calculates the result of its sub problems and then try to use the answers of those sub problems to calculate the answer of the actual problem. So we will see here actually. So I have pointed out that this particular one don't have the information of the previous count of the 1 and zeros, right? So let me just go through what I'm trying to say is that suppose this is the case that we are given. You say that if we are asked to calculate the zeros and the ones, so you will just calculate the frequency of the all zeros and all ones. So it will be 3 and 3, right? Answer will be 6. Then we suppose you will be asked to calculate the 0 1. So as we know, like 1 needs to come after the 0. Calculate all the zeros frequency. Suppose here it is 1, here it is 1. Now we know that how many zeros are come previously because we have already calculated the frequency of 0. Here we can say that we have 2 0 and 1s. Now here now we reach to this particular one. Now we will increment it to 4 because we have earlier 2 zeros are already present, and we when combined with this one we get the 2 0 1s, and we already have this 2 0 1s from this previous position, so it will accumulate to 4. Now the frequency of the zeros are 3, and now this particular one also come over there. Now we know that we have 3 zeros before, we already have the 4 0 1s, we already have the 3 zeros. Now when combined with this particular one, answer would be 3 plus 4, which is like previous 0 and the 1. So the total answer would be 7 when we need to calculate the 0 and the 1. So if I ask you to calculate, you need to calculate the 0 1 0 and 1 0 1. So how will you do that? So you will check the frequency of the 0 1 in the same iteration, and when combined with this particular 0, so you will calculate all the ways to get this particular 0 1 0. Similarly, if you need to calculate this 1 0 1, then you will check the frequency of the previous 1 and 0 1 0, and when combined with this particular one, it will form the 1 0 1. So the same approach is followed. So I have already explained you this, so let me just implement it in the form of the code. So let me just write it code, otherwise the video will go too long. Like I have implemented the code of the dynamic programming. You can see for the 1 0 I am using the its sub problem, answer of its sub problem. I'm like counting the frequency of the all the ones so that we could attach it with 0, and we can find the all the ways to get the 1 and 1 zeros. Similar approach has been followed. So what I did is basically I initiate all the variables for the 0 1 1 0 0 1 1 0 1 and 0 1 0. So these are the two answers that we need to find, as I have already said this. So we are returning the number of ways for both these strings. So what we are going to do is that if 0 is occurred, so in whichever variables will be changed if 0 is occurred in the string. If you see that a0, so we need to increment with, so if 0 is occurred, this means that we have to calculate the number of the 1 zeros. We go to its previous digit, which is 1, so we calculate all the 1s and then try to attach it with the 0, then we can find the number of 1 zeros. Similarly, we are doing here to its sub problem, like 1 0 1s, we find how many 0 1s are there before it, and then we attach it with the 0, we can find the number of the 0 1 zeros. Similarly, we are doing it for the 1 0 1s in the same way. So I hope you are able to understand this question fully. I have implemented this particular question in the two ways. So let's try to run the code. I have actually run this but not I think submit this. We have this previous answer. So let's try to submit it. We have initiated all the variables in int, and it is asking us in the form of the long. So we have to declare the same, because might be the number of ways are exceeding the capacity of the integer. It's now resubmitted. Even if you have any other doubts, please let me know in the comment section. Hope you really like the video. Make sure to subscribe this channel. I will try to bring one dynamic programming problem every week. So we will meet soon. So till then, bye bye.